Opera Australia is one of the many live performances that's been silenced this holiday period, halting rehearsals and performances until the new year. Chief Executive of Opera Australia, Fiona Allan, joins me now. Good afternoon to you, Fiona.
Yes, good afternoon.
Fiona, how is Opera Australia placed at the moment? Are performances going ahead as scheduled for New Year's Eve?
Well, sadly, no. We've just this afternoon made the very difficult decision to cancel our New Year's Eve performance tomorrow night. Although our season proper opens on Tuesday, the 4th of January, then is scheduled to run all the way through March. And at this stage, we are hopeful that we'll be able to perform next Tuesday, the 4th of January.
So what led you to that decision and I suppose to making that decision today?
Numerous cases of COVID within our company, and we'd seen that increasing during the week, every day since Christmas, really. But added to that, I would say over the last day in particular, numerous concerns coming from audience members phoning up, inquiring about their safety or wanting to change and swap tickets. So there was, a double impact there. But I would say that, like society in general, we have cases of COVID within the company that made it very difficult for us to proceed safely.
What do performances look like now? Because I love live theatre, live music, but there has been this hesitation to get back out there because you just simply don't know what the experience is going to be like.
Well, I think from an audience point of view, there are a lot of safety mechanisms already in place. I mean, at the Sydney Opera House, people are required to be double vaccinated, required to wear masks within their seats. And of course, there's very, very good ventilation. And to this point, there's never been a proven case of transmission coming from a theatre setting. I think where it becomes difficult for us as a performing arts company is that our audience, our performers themselves perform without masks. So their workplace setting is they have to be in a proximity with each other without masks on. You can't really have an opera company and sing with masks on. You can't play a wind or brass instrument with masks on. You can't dance across a stage with masks on. So whilst we can do so much in the rehearsal room, when it comes to when it comes to being on stage in itself, our performers are near each other. And whilst that's not so, we don't know whether that's a problem so much with the transmission events. It means everyone is in close contact with each other under the current New South Wales guidelines.
So, Fiona, at this point in time, what are the economic impacts of cancellations like this? And have you needed a little bit of support, federal support perhaps, to get you by?
Yes, we have we have received support in the last 12 months. Moving forward, yes, it's a big impact because we will bear 100% of the costs for tomorrow night's New Year's Eve, and we will get 0% of the income at this point. Unless, and we do rely heavily on donations from the public, and some people are so kind to keep their tickets on credit or to donate the money back to the company. But yes, it will be the complete expense of us putting New Year's Eve on, but without the income. So the financial impact is really significant. And we're a company that has, I'd say, less than 20% of our turnover now comes from state or federal funding. And we rely really heavily on donations and ticket sales. So not being able to get ticket income is really quite crippling.
What about the emotional toll that this is having? How are the cast and the crews coping?
Very difficult. Tomorrow night was to be our first performance back after, we haven't performed yet since the last set of lockdowns were lifted. And for the last 6 weeks, the company has been entirely rehearsing for this season that starts at the Opera House tomorrow night, and now that first night for us really has been cancelled. So everyone is extremely disappointed. But I have to say, and I've only been with the company myself for the last couple of months, I've never seen such a sort of resilient and resourceful group of people. I really thank my team for that, because they're kind of rolling with the punches and just so determined to get the show back onto the stage and to do what they do best, which is to perform. So whilst tomorrow night is really it's very disappointing news for everybody. We're now turning our focuses to next Tuesday for the La Boheme performance at the Opera House. And then that's the start of a 3-month season in the Joan Sutherland Theatre at the Opera House.
Given we have absolutely no idea of the way of the world in the coming months or years ahead, have there been any discussions regarding changing the way in which productions are perhaps presented to audiences now? Has it really sort of shifted the approach in terms of it's not realistic to keep just shutting things down?
No, it's not realistic to keep shutting things down, but the transmission risk to audiences is minimal. As I've said, there aren't studies or known cases where it's the audience is in more at more risk by being in a live performance setting. I think we need to see relaxation around the rules of close contact for us to be able to perform. And the current guidelines, I've not yet caught up with today's cabinet meeting, but the current guidelines had been around PCR testing, and it just wasn't feasible for us to be sending everyone off to PCR test if they were called to close contact, because that was hundreds of people. So we've had a daily rapid antigen testing regime on for some weeks now, which we've had endorsed by our consultant health advisors. Of course, we're bearing the whole cost of that. It's $25,000 a week for us to rapid antigen test our company every day. And that is very difficult for a not-for-profit to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the welcome news for you, Fiona, is there have been some changes made at National Cabinet this afternoon, so you can catch up.
That is brilliant news.
Yeah, exactly.
I will catch up on that now. I've been very busy the last hour or so cancelling New Year's Eve.
I bet. Well, before we let you go, Fiona, tell us, when will your performances resume? What have you got coming up in the new year? Let's look forward to 2022 with some optimism.
Yes, well, exactly. Well, we start on the 4th of January with La Boheme and then Turandot shortly thereafter. And we have 5 different operas that will be in repertoire over the next 3 months at the Opera House.
Well, Fiona, thank you so very much for joining us. We wish you and the company all the very best for the new year. We cannot wait to see you all back on, well, perhaps not you, but the rest of the company.
You hope not me. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, Fiona.
Bye.